sometime, somehow, we will be punished. Punished?
So I wanted to make this video closer to when the event happened, but I was told not to. But I've finally been called to share my testimonial. So I myself consider myself to be a Christian. This isn't to say that I read the books or any of that crap, and I shouldn't even say crap, but who cares? It's just my relationship with the Lord after all. And it's just words, and words don't mean anything unless you allow them to mean something. So yeah, I wouldn't be what traditional Christians consider a good Christian because I didn't read the Bible and I don't go to church as often as other Christians think I should. But again, it's my relationship with the Lord, and I know that He's as real as anything, and what really matters is the individual and what they do to strive towards the greater good. So, my testimonial. I'm still contemplating whether or not to share my whole life story. Honestly, probably not. So, I'll start closer to the end of my journey, because the end of the journey brought about a new beginning. Born again and all that, you know. And when I say born again, I don't mean born again through church. I mean born again through the Lord. So for 3 years, I had gone through a regiment with the plants that the good Lord had given to us on this earth. Plant tools. I was ingesting them whenever I felt called. And the thing is that I know that it wasn't an addiction because my plant tool of choice actually causes nausea. And on top of the nausea gets so bad that it actually causes you to vomit. So my plant tool of choice was one that I really did not want to use if I could, stop myself from using it. So every time I would get the call from the seeds to use them, I would think to myself, or at the time I thought it was myself, but demons would implant thoughts into my head saying, "Oh no, you just want to get high. Don't do the seeds. If you do the seeds, you're just trying to get high, man. And if you're just trying to get high, you're not using it to grow." So I would focus on those thoughts, and I would agree with them. I would say, yeah, I probably do just want to get high. It's probably not good to dose that much. I've seen accounts from other people saying that if you dose too much, that you can, break your brain. In many various ways, like HPPD, schizophrenia. It's just, don't even think about it. So, I was thinking about it, and the seeds pop into my head, and then they're all like, yo, let's set things straight here. You are averted to us. You do not want to use us. We want you to use us because we need you to grow. We need you to purge. And these thoughts, they're not yours. Do you like using us? And then that's when my thoughts, from me, the human, would pop into my head, and I'd be like, no, I don't really want to use you. And then that's when they'd be like, yeah, exactly. So shut up, nut up, and shut up and take us, and we will guide you. So I decided to listen, and that happened often for 3 years. Sometimes it would even be on a near daily basis, but luckily for me, my plant tool of choice isn't a strong tool. Well, it wasn't strong at first, but now that I've used it so much, it's now a very, very useful tool to me. So 3 years of purging negative entities from this vessel. I spent those 3 years on and off doing the seeds, and through the vomiting, I was actually purging out the foreign consciousness. So how I did this was the seeds actually told me, yo, you want to make something out of this purge, out of this vomit, out of this nausea? And I was like, yeah, it sort of sucks. I'd like to actually get something out of it if I can. And then they were like, all right, here. So when you vomit, focus on your gut. And when you feel that sensation rise, imagine all the negativity in your life going out with the vomit. And I was like, what the hell? All right, I'll do it. And it actually worked. Like, it was only temporary for a time, but after enough times purging out the foreign consciousness, I managed to actually untether it from me, if that makes sense. So if that doesn't make sense, I'll explain tethering. So every human is tethered to a consciousness. This consciousness basically dictates everything that the human believes. So starting off, as the human, you have the choice to believe whatever you want. And as soon as you make a choice to believe in something, a consciousness comes into your brain and dictates the beliefs from that point forward. But you, the human, can actually use this to your advantage. If you have an open mind, when that first consciousness is introduced, you can work with it to incorporate more concepts into its being so that it can become a more full consciousness. But that came for me long after I found my initial consciousness, but we're not even to that point yet, so we'll continue the story. So I purged my body of foreign consciousness, and I got the call to do the seeds again. And I didn't know why they wanted me to use them since I was purged of foreign consciousness, but I entertained them anyways. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It'll be fun. I sort of owe you guys anyways, and I'm really thankful for everything that you've done for me, so of course I'll do you. So took the seeds, and we were just enjoying time together, just watching stuff on TV or YouTube. But then it was crazy. The seeds actually started working through the algorithm of YouTube to have videos play for me that went along with the thoughts that they were planting into my brain. It was insane. But it was also really sobering. So eventually we got to a point where they were like, okay, cool. So you really do like us for us. So you're still doing us, even though it makes you nauseous, even though you don't have a dark consciousness within you anymore. So they saw that I respected them, and then they respected me in return. So they asked me what I wanted to do this time. So this was actually very interesting for me. So I was like, what do I want to do? I never really thought about that. So I decided to ask them to take me to the well of consciousness. And within the well of consciousness were all the consciousness of every single person that could have ever been alive. And as soon as they saw me, they wanted in. Like, they were offering so many things. It was not even funny. The temptation was too real. They were offering information in exchange for using my body to experience this reality once more. And I almost fell for it, but luckily for me, I really wanted to know what the hell my consciousness was. Because sure, we learned from schools what consciousness is, what ego is, what the subconscious is. But through my experiences with these tools, I realized that humans don't have any answers at all. So I wanted to learn from the tools just what exactly is consciousness. So when I asked it that, it brought me to the well of consciousness, as I said before, and then all the temptation came. But then the source, or I guess you would say the Father, came down and he told everyone to silence. Like, they had to let me choose. I could choose one of them if I wanted to, but I had made it known that I wanted to find out what my consciousness was. And so I had to be given the choice to go to my consciousness or to go to any other consciousness out there. So I was like, yeah, I want to go to my consciousness. And then the seeds were all like, are you sure about that? And I was like, yeah. And then they're like, okay. So then they brought me to my consciousness, to which point my consciousness woke up. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was literally asleep or like in a napping state. And when I interacted with it, it woke up. And it was like, whoa, you fucking found me, dude. You know what I mean? So I found him and we were rejoicing. And then all of a sudden, I was brought to all of ego and all of consciousness, but their story isn't that important right now. What is important, though, is that after my time with them, they brought me to Jesus Christ, like the Jesus Christ. And it was one of the most, like, humbling experiences of my life, in all honesty, because even though I couldn't physically see anything because it was all thought based, because I don't know, for me, I must be weak or something because I can't physically see anything whenever I do these stuff. I can't hear anything. It's all just thoughts for me. So even though I saw him, or not even saw, even though I interacted with him as a thought, just the love and light had me understand that this was indeed the Lord. Like, there was no questioning it. And it was a truly humbling experience for many reasons. The biggest reason, though, would be the fact that he saved me from the devil himself. I'm not even, like, exaggerating on that one, because Jesus took me through hell, and while we were flying through hell, dude, that was intense. So the ultimate darkness, or Satan, found me in hell because for some reason I was protected and he couldn't find me within the 3D reality. But once I was in the 4D reality and in the realm of darkness, he was like, oh, how did I miss you, little bird? And then, like, he caught me, and all the voices of the light left me. And it was just his voice, and he just spoke to me, and his voice altered into my voice, and it was just horrifying. He offered literally the world. He offered all the information, all the power I could ever want if I just sided with him. But then, like, the fact that all those voices of the light left me, man, just through interacting with Satan, that was the most horrifying thing ever. Why would I choose one voice when I had thousands, you know? Like, dude, that sounds really lonely in my eyes. So, like, in my eyes, that sounds really lonely to me, like, in my ears. So I decided to call for Jesus. Like, I just said it in my mind, since, you know, it was all thought-based anyways. I couldn't just scream it out, because if I screamed it out, I would have woken up my family. So I thought as hard as I could, Jesus, please save me. Like, I don't want this right now. I don't want darkness. I want light. Please come help me. And all of a sudden, dude, he came and he banished the darkness. I mean, the darkness is obviously still there. It exists, but he saved me from it and pulled me back to the realm of light. And oh my God. After the fact, it made total sense. Like, once somebody makes it to this point, they have to be given the choice, light or dark. And then you have to make that choice. Obviously, in your modern, or in your waking day-to-day life, you have this opportunity to choose between light and dark. But if you come to the truth, they give you the chance again. And after I chose light, well, honestly, I wanted to make this video back then, but I would have added a bit too much that would have spoiled it for anyone else that makes it to this point. So I had to figure out how to word it in such a way so that if any other Christians decide to work with plant tools in order to find the Lord, that they can do it without having too much spoiled for them. So I hope you guys have a good one, and remember to stay safe out there.